What's up, world? Welcome to Pajama Investor. Today we're going to be talking about emotional mastery. I personally think that this is one of the most important lessons I've ever covered on my Snapchat. For those of you coming from my Snapchat, welcome. I covered this previously in my Snapchat, but I needed to put it on a platform more shareable just because it's easier to share. You feel me? So today we're going to talk about emotional mastery. Demartini talks about the ABCs of negativity, and these are negative feedback responses that we get. And these are the emotions that we feel: angry, aggressive, betrayed, blameful, etc., etc. Now, these negative feedback responses are like service lights in your dash, telling you like, yo, listen, there's something amiss with this vehicle, do some investigating. If, for instance, you had a brake light, a check brake light or check engine light in your dashboard and you completely ignore it, chances are you're either going to have a crash, two, that problem is going to metastasize into a bigger, more expensive problem. So whenever you get this negative feedback responses, it's important that you don't ignore them. They're helpful. They're there to let you know that there's something wrong, that you need to address it. Now, from my experience, I haven't seen any of those negative feedback responses come up without 1 or 8 of these delusions and fantasies. And they are God, self, others, and an object. And each of them have a balance and a purpose. So first of all, we're going to talk about balance, and we're going to talk about purpose, and we're going to tie them all in together. So first thing, balance. Let's call this contraption the pendulum of mind. Right up here we have divine order, we have soul. Down here we have the senses and human disorder. Down here we have polarity. When you're here, you judge things positively. When you're down here, when you're here, you judge things negatively. You swing, it's a pendulum. And that swinging is emotions. Up here we have truth and actuality. Down here we have illusions caused by perceptual reality. Right here in truth and actuality, everything is neutral, right? These are the way things actually are. Down here in perceptual reality, we judge things. We project our ideals and our values on the universe. And when they don't meet our expectations, we judge them negatively. And when they meet our expectations, we judge them positively. If we have a negative awareness of some particular thing, what we might not know is we have an unconscious awareness of the same thing that is to the same degree positive. Right? So whatever we judge negatively in our unconscious awareness, that same thing exists positively. Everything we judge negatively has a positive side to it buried in our unconsciousness. In chemistry, we have ions, and our ions are atoms with electrical charges. In the pendulum of mind, we have ions. And when these ions swing from left to right, when they sway from left to right, we have emotions. And on the left side, those emotions are depression. And on the right side, those emotions become elation. See, the more emotional we are, the less truth and actuality. We're not living in our divine order. We're more in our animal state that is of perceptual reality based on judgment. An example will be you're an underdog. Nothing you do is credited. No one really thinks of anything of you. No one really thinks anything of you. And what in turn that pushes you, that makes you become an achiever because you want to become bigger and better and stronger. On the other hand, you could also have, like, for instance, nothing you ever did was good enough for your parents, right? And in turn that pushed you to become better. That pushed you to become independent. That pushed you to become an overall achiever. And on the flip side of that, if you never really had any difficulty, if you never had any resistance, you probably became complacent, you became nonchalant, you didn't really become an achiever. So now the truth about that is that there are drawbacks to both sides, because nothing is objectively good or objectively bad. Everything is neutral until we judge it with a limited awareness. What we could do is narrow our emotional judgments and focus on truth, because when we do, we'll be able to transcend those negative feedback responses. Because the more stuff we have buried in our unconsciousness, the more polarized in judgment would be, meaning the more emotional we would be, and the less mastery we would have in our life. Men are not disturbed by things, but by the view they take on them, their perceptual reality. Let's talk about purpose. People call it value, some people call it soul-guided desires, but whatever your highest value is, your life would demonstrate it, and you'll be dedicated to it. Now, your values are different from your mom's, from your dad's, from your brothers and your sisters. And it's an evolutionary function that the entire family dynamic has different purposes, because it ensures for longevity and it gives us the best chance of survival. Now, if one person is a traveler, someone has to stay back and man the fort. And what happens is usually children take up things that their parents had suppressed in their lives. For instance, like it could be arts, it could be music, photography, arts, whatever it is. Something that perhaps in their time, the opportunity for monetization was low and they had to take care of the family, so, they dropped that. Now, if you're arrogant and you think that your values are more superior than others, you're going to be very frustrated when people are not doing what you want them to do. And vice versa. If you're subordinate to people who are always telling you what to do, that could also shut you down, make you angry and frustrated, and very depressed. So now that we've covered the basics of balance and purpose, let's talk about delusions and fantasies. Now, like I said, these are the top 8 delusions and fantasies that usually bring about those emotions and those negative feedback responses. And we have God, self, others, and objects. When I say God, I'm not talking about the guy in the sky that we pray to. I'm talking about life, world, universe, nature. God, balance. If you think that the world, the universe, is always going to be rainbows and sunshine, support, and everything's just going to move swimmingly, you're going to be frustrated when things don't, because the reality is that life is difficult. Everyone faces challenges. We all face them. But if you have that one fantasy that things are always going to be smooth and move on swimmingly, you're going to be frustrated. You're going to be depressed when things don't go that way. Purpose. If you think that the world is always going to be supportive, or the universe is going to be supportive in your desire, right? You're going to be frustrated when they don't. If you project your values and ideals and you want people to be more like you, it doesn't work out that way. You're going to be frustrated. An example, if you're a vegan and you're like, there's so many benefits of being a vegan. You want everyone to be vegan. You're like, eating meat is gross. You're going to be very frustrated trying to get everyone to be like you. It's just not practical. Now, self-balance. If you think that you don't have both sides, if you think that you're just one-sided, you're going to wake up you're going to have emotional times, because the truth is we human beings, we're not one-sided. We just have to learn how to mitigate these emotions, these sways. Now, self-purpose. If you have the fantasy that you're going to wake up, you're going to leave outside of your purpose, you're definitely going to experience those negative feedback responses. And this is a common one. Listen attentively. Your parents are accountants and they want you to study accounting. But you don't want to study accounting. You want to study music, art, fashion, photography. But now you're in accounting school, waking up every morning uninspired, angry, sad, depressed, frustrated. What the fuck am I doing here? Others, balance. If you think people are always going to be one-sided, people are always going to be nice, your girlfriend's always going to be nice, she's always going to be flirty, she's always going to be supportive of what you want to do, always happy, always jolly, you're due for a rude awakening, because that's not realistic. All right? On the other side, we have purpose. I always hear this, like in relationships, like, man, I've been trying to put my girl on game. Like, I've been trying to show her, trying to get her to focus and creating passive income, but she doesn't care about all that. She just wants to go to work and get drinks after with her friends. Dude, that's not her purpose. She's not interested. And trying to force it will only make you frustrated. Are you getting the drift here? In summary, emotional mastery is not about ignoring your emotions and becoming some kind of rock or mute. That's unrealistic. We're human beings. We're expressive. The way you can start to master your emotions is be aware of when you're doing an emotion. Take the time to figure out what emotion you're experiencing. Then take the time to figure out which one of the delusions, maybe more than one of these delusions and fantasies, is causing that emotional reaction. And figure out what you have buried in your unconsciousness that's bringing up this emotion at this particular time. We need to stack up the benefits and the drawbacks. Because if it's just positive emotions, love and elation make us do the dumbest things. You need to learn how to look at things from a neutral standpoint and stop projecting your judgments and your values on every single situation. That's the end of the lesson. If this was beneficial to you in any way, please like, subscribe, share it, I'll be in the comments. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. Or you can shoot me a direct message to my Snapchat. It's self_title03. It would be in the description below. And I'll answer every question and I'll answer all your questions.